Hey, I'm Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, and I am here with the super talented Rachel Greig. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Now, Rachel, I think that my fondest memory of you, if I may share, is when Nat Callback and I came to visit in Australia and to teach for you. And we had, was it like a beach? It was like a little beach place, kind of, right? That we went to eat a meal somewhere with your kids and your family and stuff. And it was so
Yeah,
nice. And then you took us to see like the field of poppies. And it just felt like a really wonderful like slice of what I would call real life. Because I think one of the things about visiting another country is sometimes everything feels so touristy. And that felt just like, oh,
yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I live near, well, as you know, because you've been here, by the seaside in Australia, just north of Sydney, and it's a nice. There's about 300,000 people who live here, but it's got like a beachy vibe to it. There's lots of beaches and it's very casual. So, and then we had a lot of fun that day, and the weather was beautiful. So yeah, we took you to all the beaches and had a nice cafe lunch. It was really good.
Yeah, it was a really good time. And you have a beautiful shop. Do you want to tell people about your shop?
Yes, I own a business called Darkroom Door. So we manufacture rubber stamps and stencils and mixed media products. We also distribute Ranger products to complement our stamps, so you can do lots of things. And it's based here on the Central Coast, and it's it's a warehouse mainly, so we manufacture and then ship out to all the stores. So we wholesale our stamps, and we also retail on our website as well. And I design most of the stamps. We have a few other designers as well, and we just enjoy doing all of that, and then shipping out all the product and creating stuff. And it's where I am right now actually, and it's where you taught. And I've got like an art studio here, so that's what's behind me, is like the collection of stamps, and a few little bits and pieces of the artwork that I've done. And there's a big mess in front of me, which is my art table, and then beyond that is the manufacturing and the warehousing side of things. And we do have, like where you guys taught, we have tables, but we haven't had in-person classes here for quite a while. So just to
Understandable.
exactly. But yeah, anyway, if we do them again, but I like to actually get out and about, so traveling and teaching. So I do more of that.
So, if I were going to describe your sort of style of art or your area of expertise to someone else, I think that I would say that, like, if you want to learn a lot about different stamping and layering techniques, and particularly how those techniques, like how Ranger products sort of work with those techniques, like, that's what I would say. I don't know if you would say something else.
No, that's exactly because I was thinking, yeah, and especially in the class for the Artful Holiday, it's that same thing. It's stamping and layering and mixed media, and how you can incorporate it all into one project. But rubber stamps have been a huge love of mine, or printmaking in general, for many years. Like when I was at university, I was doing screen printing and lino printing and any kind of printing I could, along with photography. And then, so that's where the rubber stamp passion started from, and then put my photos into rubber stamps and then do all that. So, it's just that whole mixed media layering thing. That's what I really enjoy. And then using paint and ink, and I love ink and paint and putting it all together. So,
Yeah, I would say that, like, one of the things I said, I think, to most of the teachers is I said, like, let's see you show off what you're really good at, you know?
mm,
And your class is so fantastic. It's
thank
just,
you.
it's like magic. Each layer, I think, well, I mean, I can do that. That's simple. And then it just
Mhm.
keeps building and building. And I think, I mean, and I'm a multi-layer person, but I was like, no, 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 Rachel, stop. Like, that's enough layers. But it really just turns out so well.
It's interesting, isn't it? And because also with my style as well, I can go from real simple, like just simply a stamp on one sheet of paper, and then call it a day, and that's it. But then I can do these more complex projects. And I think, as much as the class that I've got for Artful Holiday can kind of be considered complex in the layers, when you break it down, it's actually quite simple.
Yeah.
But
And yeah,
it,
that's
but
magic.
it, yeah, and it kind of looks I think, quite artistic for what it is. And I also like it because I don't like doing really difficult projects. That's just, art's meant to be fun. So this one here, it's, if you've got 10 minutes here and there, you can do your layer. If you've got another 10 minutes, do your next layer. So, and it's just building up. And at the end, I think it's a nice project. So
it is. And I also think, like, I'm a huge fan of, one, just like you said, projects that can be done in parts. So like if you have 10 minutes, you do part of something and you come back later and you do it and you don't worry about dry time or anything else. And then also I'm a huge fan of projects that can be used for multiple applications. And I just thought the techniques that you shared, I was like, okay, I get this. Art journaling, big canvas, cards, wall art, 3D sculpture, like whatever I want to do with it. Like it's a surface design technique I can keep working.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, because I do multi things as well. Like I do card making, I do journaling. Sometimes I do like canvases, not as often as the others. Like paper craft is really my thing. But this, it can be applied to a lot of things. So I'm hoping that even though it is, something that people might not do in terms of maybe they don't do card making, but it can be applied to any mixed media style or project, so hopefully everyone will get something out of it.
So let's geek out about stamps for a second.
Okay.
Well, I feel like it's a topic that you're gonna, absolutely run laps on me about. But speaking of, like, well,
you've designed amazing stamps.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, so speaking of, like, I mean, you designed so many stamps and you have to keep coming up with new ideas. So I basically have kind of like a couple questions for you about that.
Okay.
So the first thing is basically, what is your absolute favorite stamp that you've ever designed?
Oh gosh, that's really hard. Some of them are I'm emotionally attached to them because of where the designers come from. So the photo stamps that I do with Darkroom Door, obviously that's from photos that I've taken. And if it's a scene of some description, like there's one that I have of a bicycle in Amsterdam. Now, obviously for me, that conjures up memories of Amsterdam. So those kind of things, they feel special to me. But the ones that I love the most are the ones that I use the most. So, and often they won't necessarily be the most innovative or whatever, but like there's one that I did which was global postmarks, and it's just a bunch of postmarks, and I could probably find it here quickly because it's all here somewhere, but anyway, it's on the shelf. But I can describe it, and it's just a bunch of postmarks. Now I collected those postmarks, so each postmark still means something to me. I mean, obviously to the stamper, because I wanted it from different cities. So there's Stockholm, there's Paris, there's, all these cities on that. So, and because I love mail and postage anyway, so anything to do with postage, I'm there for it. Same with all the travel ones, anything to do with traveling, love all those, especially because I like using those in my journals when I do travel journaling. But yeah, I think if I have to really pick, it would be the photo stamps. They're the ones that I'm most proud of as a designer, and then how they came to be.
So then let's talk a little bit about how they came to be, because I think that that's an important part of your journey.
Well, yes, it is, because I'm originally a photographer. Well, still am, but that's how everything started with me. I mean, I could go way back and go, I've been journaling since I was, 13, which I have, but it was always a hobby. Photography for me was something that I knew that I wanted to pursue creatively as a career. And so I worked in photography for a long time. And then, but as I said, when I did my visual art degree, I was doing all that printmaking. So I was printmaking at home as the hobby, photography as the work. And then one night I just woke up and went, hang on a second, I can turn that flower photo into that stamp or something. And so in the end, I designed these things in the darkroom with flowers, and then submitted them to a company and made my first stamps. And so that's why when I started my own rubber stamp company, so I designed for a few other companies first, and then I decided to start my own company. That's why I called it Darkroom Door, because the original images that I ever made into stamps were from when I was working in a darkroom. So yeah, that's how it all started. So, and then
You still sell those original designs?
The original ones, no, because they were manufactured to companies now who are no longer in existence. So they, I mean, are they collector's items? I don't know, but I've got them here. I could probably pull one out, but they, so I still have them, and then a lot of Australians probably have those original stamps as well. They're all wood mounts. So but yeah, of everything that I've designed with Darkroom Door is still available. So we haven't discontinued any stamps. So all of those are still available.
Very cool. So that's a huge catalog.
Over 700 or 800 SKUs. And then, so therefore, if each stamp's set, so for instance, if I get out something like this, so you can see on that there's several stamps. So 700 of them plus, oh, do you want me to? Yes. Yeah, so it would be, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
I mean, but here's the thing that is amazing to me is that you still have so much creativity. You still keep having so many good ideas, right, for stamp design. So I guess the next sort of geek out question is, where does the inspiration come from? Like, are you a sketchbook person? Are you just like a word association? Like, how do you keep coming up with new ideas? Because you do a lot of releases.
We do. Yeah, we only do about 2 or 3 stamp releases a year. Sometimes it's usually 2, sometimes 3. And then usually it's what I want to use or what's missing. So I think the best thing for me to do is keep creating. If I'm not creating, then I'm not thinking of stamp designs. Like, or especially when I go and travel, go and see new things, even just walking to the park, you see flowers, you go, oh, that would work really well. I can't look at a tree anymore without looking at it as a stamp design. So there's some trees and I'll be driving along and I'll go stamp design, or, you know, that would look great, you know. So I'm always looking for shapes and what would really work. But ultimately the next stamp designs, like, if I think, okay, what am I going to design next? It's usually, well, okay, what do I want to use next? What do I think my style will be in the next sort of 12 months? You know, I don't generally follow trends too much, although I'm influenced by trends. So
how could you not be?
That's right. You know, so there's certain things that would probably come out, but yeah, it's I'm quite selfish when it comes to stamp designs. I go, if I want a bicycle in my journal, I'm going to design a stamp with a bicycle. So that's pretty much how it comes down to it.
So this is one of my major points of frustration as a designer. And I'm sure it's one of the reasons you decided to become a manufacturer, because I also like to make the things that I want to use. But I have been told multiple times by different manufacturers that I've designed for, stencils and stamps and whatnot, that the things that I like are not the things that are going to sell, or people aren't going to understand it in a package, or they're not going to be able to use it. And like, I totally get it because it's financial for them. It's a business, but it's still a point of frustration for me because I always want the things that I am like selling under my name to be things that I want to use, like really want to use, and B, you know, that I think are different than what's out there. But I feel like a lot of stuff gets pushed towards stuff that already exists.
That's true. And the manufacturers will want to keep on those trends as well. And then what happens is I mean, even though everyone's got their own take on it, it can get a little bit saturated. So it's difficult because as of like the manufacturer side of me understands that, yes, you need to sell a certain amount to make the production of it worth it. But I also like to put out what I call wild cards. So that will be a stamp set that I know is not going to sell very well, but it's true to who I am, and it just gives the industry something a bit different. So, like, you know, before talking about the photo stamps, there are some photo stamps, and I'm like, I know this is not going to touch the sides on the sales of some of the other photo stamps, but to me, it kind of all averages out. So I'm willing to take that risk. That's one of the reasons I wanted to start Darkroom Doors, so I could take that risk. The risk is on me, and so long as I, produce stuff that people do want, then I can also produce some of those crazy ones that are maybe not so popular. But as a designer for other companies, I can see how it is frustrating as well. So because you want to keep true to your style too, so they know, oh, that's Julie stencil, and but then also the manufacturer also has to understand that not everything is going to be a bestseller.
Yeah,
you've also yeah, that's it. You've also got to have something that's really unique as well. May not be the best seller in the world, but it's unique. And it's sometimes those unique things really do need to be, like, you need to take a chance on some of those, and they do become bestsellers.
Yeah, well, part of what I think too is the things that are unique and weird stand out.
That's it. Exactly.
So they get noticed when they do get used. And so I feel like it builds your reputation and like who you are and your sense of style and all that kind of stuff. And I think it is important too to give people the freedom to feel like they can use things other than what they're seeing is the norm.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
people want different as well. They don't always want, like you could say, oh, flowers always sell. Yeah, maybe not. There's some of our flower stamps, other weird stuff has outsold them for sure, and so I like the weird stuff. I like the different stuff, the unique stuff, and I like seeing other artists do that as well. And, and I love seeing the stencils you come out with or the other, products and go, yeah, that's cool. That's really unique and cool.
Yeah, I like that too. And I call it kind of like the art booth theory, which is whenever I've had a booth at an art fair, I always have like a huge graphic, like crazy painting that hangs like across the back of the tent or just to like grab your attention. And it is always like A, insane. So people probably aren't going to hang it in their house. B, like really expensive because it's so big. So most people aren't just like casually walking by with like a couple $1,000s, right? But it draws the attention and then people start to look and sure they walk out with a $20 something, but you know what? That's the reason they walked into the booth and were interested.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good attention grabber. So yeah, that's good.
So then my next question, this is actually a perfect setup, is has there ever been anything that has surprised you in terms of how well it has sold?
Yes. And I'm sorry, I was just trying to think. I knew which one. It's a stamp set called Sketched Alphabet. Actually, I'm going to get it for you because
yeah, I want to see it. Although I have to say, I feel like alphabets probably are always a really big seller because people need letters, love letters.
No, you'll be surprised. Alphabets are actually not one of the best sellers.
What? Really?
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy. Sorry, I'm giving you a nice little thing.
I'm enjoying it. Your back of your hair looks beautiful.
I don't even have it here because I've obviously got it in one of my totes or something that I'm walking around with. So it's not even. But I do have this one, which is the next one we did, which was sketch numbers. It gives you the idea. Cool. Basically, it's this one here. It's called Sketched Alphabet, and it's this design, right? So I drew that. I was just mucking around sketching. And I drew that years and years ago. And I just never released the stamp set because I always, self-critical, go, no, surely it's been done 1,000 times before. It's nothing really terribly unique. I just won't release it. Anyway, there was one time where I had it all sitting down and, we're doing our meeting about what are we going to release and all that. And I just put it on the table. And as soon as I put it on the table, everyone's gone, what? How come we haven't done that stamp set before? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just didn't think it was going to be great. I got outvoted. I mean, not that I didn't want it. Obviously, I wanted it, but I was just so self-critical. It's so silly. And we released it. It just went crazy because at that time, obviously, it was just perfect timing. Everyone wanted to color in alphabets. So this is, and that's why it is. Actually, I've got a journal here. If I pull this one out, And this actually, here's the alphabet that
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, so therefore,
Mhm.
you know, you can color it in and do whatever. So that's my little December daily journal from last year. And so then, of course, everyone's like, well, we need the numbers, which is why I then drew the numbers, and then off you go. But then it has its run, you know. If I think everybody's probably bought it by now, but it's, yeah, it surprised me. If I had have known, yes, I would have released it, you know, 7 years ago when I drew the alphabet or something. So it is interesting to see. Yeah, you get those little ones that I throw in, like I said, as wild cards, and in the end they end up being the bestseller of the release or something. And I go, oh, okay, I don't know everything about what's going to be popular, even after all these years. So you've just got to try things. That's why I'd be willing to risk stuff. So yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, last question.
Okay.
So if somebody out there is thinking like, oh, hey, I really like stamps and stuff, I should start a business. What is some advice that you would give them?
I would tell them to go for it, really,
Yeah.
because if that's something that they really want to do, like, you'll know if that's something you really want to do. Like, if they want to design stamps, then my suggestion would be to create. So however you'd want to design stamps, draw, sketch, watercolor, take photos, whatever it is, just do a lot of it. And create a body of work, like find your style. If you want to start a stamp company, that's that's business side of stuff. That's where it gets a little bit more tricky. Maybe you might want to like license with another stamp company first. But yeah, I think also starting up a stamp company, that's doable as well. So
I'm a big fan of like, the sort of apprenticing theory where you like first try the designing part, see if you like it. Then maybe work at a company that does something maybe adjacent to being a stamp company, something in the industry, see if you like that whole thing, understand how POs work and like trade shows and sort of get an education that way, and then sort of make the leap. I think a lot of people sometimes take the leap without realizing all the little parts.
Oh, there's a lot of parts. And I'll be honest and say that Darkroom Door's been going now for 15 years. And then before that, I was designing for 4 or 5 years for other companies. So we're coming up to 20 years now of me being a stamp designer. And you would have to agree that in any job in the world, if you're doing it for 20 years, there's times where you just want to pack it in. You just want to go, no, I'm done with it. And there have been days when I'm like, I don't know, I think I'm done. And then I wake up the next day and I go, no, I'm not. I've got more, designs or whatever. I was just tired or, whatever. I just didn't want to do all the book work or something. There's a lot to it, and it's a lot of work more than creative work. So you really have to want to be dedicated, persistent, and be willing to go through those struggles of the days when your creativity, it's just like if you're creating just for fun at home, some days you'll sit down at your art table, there's no way you feel like it. But sometimes when you push through that, in half an hour's time, you're like, oh, I'm glad I started. I'm glad. And now I feel better and what I've, so you've just got to be willing to do that dedication, because there are hard days in any business, not just a creative business, but any business. But I would definitely try, if you want to start a stamp business, definitely, and you haven't designed stamps before, I'd be definitely designing stamps, like lots of them, designs, just design, and then see how you feel and then go from there.
And it's relentless. I'll say that as someone who doesn't manufacture, but just designs, like the design cycle is relentless. It feels like as soon as I get the prototypes of the new designs, the new ones are due.
Yep. That's it. Yeah. Like it's amazing. Yeah. I've got, as soon as we make the product, it's, to me, that's like, and that's when we start, promoting and releasing and all that. And it should be the fun part of it and whatever, but I'm already thinking ahead of the next 2 releases. Like I'm already moved on from that, so it's kind of Yeah, it's a turning wheel, that's for sure. So
It is.
yeah.
It is. Well, I'm so glad that you shared about that. I'm so glad that you're part of the Artful Holiday, and I'm so glad that I
Thank
can
you.
call you my friend too. So
Yeah,
thank you for
absolutely.
all of
Always.
it.
And I really appreciate being part of this. It's been a lot of fun doing this class. Absolutely loved it. And yeah, it means I'm a bit more prepared for the holidays this year too.
Well, I know that people are going to absolutely adore your class, so I'm excited for them to see it.
Oh, thank you so much. And thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. So the Artful Holiday will be for sale starting August 1st. You can grab it at balzerdesigns.com. And Rachel, where can people find you?
They can find me at rachelgreig.com or darkroomdoor.com.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.